The author joins me now, Alex Isenstadt, senior political reporter at Axios. Alex, great to have you back. Happy Publishing Eve.
Thank you.
You paint a picture of incredible chaos at that Butler hospital, and yet even in the midst of that chaos and the shock and trauma of what just happened, Trump is 100% aware of the political gold to be mined.
100%. And Trump is, at his heart, he's a marketer. He understands the power of images. He understood immediately the power of those pictures. You know, throughout the campaign, and you see this in the book, is Trump is enormously focused on choreography. There are a number of different moments where Trump is interested in choreography, how things look, you know, events. A lot of your viewers will remember when he went to a McDonald's at the end of the campaign,
right,
when he posed with a garbage truck. But he was unique. He was especially focused on this. And that moment when he shook his fist, that was a moment that he understood would be indelibly linked, not just to this campaign, but to his legacy.
In the moments after the assassination attempt, you write there was a huge amount of misinformation flying around, and that one news outlet actually called Trump's spokesman and said that they were about to report that Trump had died.
Yeah. It was, and what I try to do in this chapter is really show the pure chaos. At that point, when Trump's aides were racing behind him to the hospital, they didn't know what his condition was. We forget that. They didn't know what his condition was. So they get to the hospital, and Trump aides are getting absolutely bombarded. Their phones are bombarded with texts from reporters, from everyone under the sun. Their phones are literally almost melting down and shutting off, because they are dysfunctioning in that moment. And so at one point, Stephen Chung, the spokesperson, gets a text from a reporter saying that they were going to report that Trump had died. Meanwhile, Chung is trying to pound out a statement. He shows it to Susie Wiles, and he hits send, and that statement says that Trump is in fine condition. But we forget just how chaotic those final moments were. And what I try to do in this chapter is paint the picture of what happened behind the scenes in the Butler hospital.
We still don't know so much about the would-be assassin, Thomas Crooks, about why he did this, what his motive was. Why is that?
That's something that is a great question. It's something that Donald Trump is interested in getting to the bottom of, and it's something that he talked about privately with his aides. He said, things aren't right here. Why is it that we don't have more information on him? There's very little to this day. This person has very little social media footprint. There hasn't been much released on him. And it's something, and it's going to be interesting to see if Trump talks more about this, because it's something that he definitely talked privately about on the campaign.
I think I would want to know, too, why somebody did something like that. If somebody came that close to killing me, it's a human reaction to want to know more. In the meantime, in your book, you also report that even in the days and weeks leading up to this Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt, the Trump security team was on edge. How so, and why?
Trump has this habit of throwing himself into crowds. There was a strategic decision made early on in the campaign where Trump would mingle very closely with supporters at retail stops. And inherently, that put him in a position of danger, sometimes which the Secret Service didn't really like very much.
No,
so,
you write that many times the Secret Service said, no, sir, you can't do this. And he said, get out of my way, I'm doing it.
That's exactly what happened when he went to a college football game at one point in Iowa. And there was another point when he was in Iowa where he was going to go to a college fraternity house. The day before Trump's visit to the fraternity house, Secret Service shows up. They knock on the door. They take a look at the house, and they find dozens of guns in one of the rooms. They order the kids to lock those guns up before Trump shows up the next day. There were a number of different scares, and one other incident came in 2023 when Trump was when he came to D.C. for an appearance in the January 6th federal indictment. The Washington, D.C. police failed to clear off the highway for Trump and his entourage, and there was concern that Trump would get into an accident or that someone
Yeah.
would try to ram their car into him.
Also that he was on an elevator in a courthouse and they didn't stop the elevator, so it kept opening on every floor, and all these folks with their traffic tickets are like, oh my God, it's President Trump, you know?
Exactly. And it was a total mess.
Yeah.
So even before Butler, there were plenty of scares on this campaign.
Alex Isenstadt, the book is Revenge. It's out tomorrow. The inside story of Trump's return to power. I've already read portions of it. It is a fascinating read. Congratulations. Thanks. Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.